So today's video, we're going to be reviewing the Ultrahuman Cyborg continuous glucose monitor. So we're going to do an unboxing, have a look at this a little bit closer, and give you my review over the next 2 weeks after I've worn this, tested it out, and experimented with it to see if it's something that you'd be interested in having a looking at. Since 2019, I've been on a mission to discover the latest and greatest in health tech, and now we're going to look at the newest and I think the next level of biohacking that is going to be coming to the market very soon. I was approached by a group called Ultrahuman to test a new type of continuous glucose monitoring device, and we'll go in a bit more depth as to what that is, but essentially it's measuring things like metabolic performance, how your energy levels are based on your exercise and food intake. So let's have a look at this product. I've got it here. It's ready to open. It hasn't even been looked at yet. The box is sealed, so this will be a very, very raw opening. It's not scripted, and we're just gonna look at what we find. So this is the company. We're looking at Ultrahuman. We've got on the cover there, Deep Health Insight, which I think this will give us a really good insight into what's going on under the surface. So let's open it up, let's see what we've got. Okay, so we have some information around what this is, and I know, speaking to these guys, there is a passion around metabolic health and the metabolic crisis that's currently quite persistent across the Western world in particular. Now, I've seen statistics of rates in the US of something like 88% will have poor metabolic health, and really we're going to see this as a massive chronic disease issue in the future. So I know there's quite a passion around looking at how this device can improve people's health beyond simply allowing them to biohack and optimize performance, but also looking at it as a measurement of, all right, listen, there's some issues here. How can I train my body to do a better job here of eating better, exercising, stress management, and things like that. Okay, so it does come with a manual, which is good, and all QR codes. So all this sort of stuff's available to look at on the web. Now these come with a performance patch, and that allows, well, there's quite a few in here actually, and it's rock tape, which is cool. But I have seen these. This allows protection of the sensor so that you can be quite active with it, not knock it, and makes it quite comfortable. And using rock tape, which we use in the practice quite a bit, it allows to stretch, but it's quite robust at the same time. So we've got our sensor in there as well, and we've also got obviously an alcohol wipe before you put it on, and that's obviously for hygiene because there is a microfilament that does go into the skin and we don't want any infections. Okay, so the day has come. We're going to be testing out this new Ultrahuman Cyborg CGM and seeing how it goes. So I'm going to show you how to put it on, then what to do from there, how to link up to your phone, and then all the features that it's going to have. This is going to be the testing stage. We're going to run this for 2 weeks, and I'll be documenting things as we go. Okay, first things first, we're going to sanitize the area. I'm going to pop it on the back of the arm, just up in here. All right. Here we go. I wonder if I'll feel anything. Okay, just pop it on the back like this, and we push down. Oh, something on there? Oh, there is too. Wow, could not feel a thing doing that. So we're going to apply then the rock tape. This is to protect the sensor and allow you to be active as you go. Can't believe that's on there. Cannot feel a thing. Okay, so that's going to sit there nicely. All right, so from here, you can just see it, probably just poking under a little bit. It's not too obvious, so. But from here, we're going to load it up onto our phone now. So we have the metrics that we can measure live. All right, so let's look at how we pair the sensor now. I'm gonna run this in live time for you, and we're gonna run it on the screen recorder so you can see exactly what's happening as we essentially pair this device. All right, so here we go. We load up the Ultrahuman app, and pretty much from the home screen, you'll slide across the metabolism, hit pair sensor, and then it gives you instructions what to do here. So we're gonna pop it on. Oh, wow, that was quick. Buzz straight away, 2 buzzes. Glucose sensor's been activated, and then it's doing essentially a calibration over the next hour. So we'll see what that brings. Alrighty, so we're at the next stage. It's been an hour, time to pair the sensor. So I'm recording the screen again so you can see, and looks like we're ready to go. So we're going to pair the sensor again. Once again, it's telling us to hold that close to the chip. So we'll hold that till it vibrates. There we go. Just had to flip it around that time. And we're going to say, yep, let's go for it. Okay, so as you can see on the screen, we've got 76 milligrams per deciliter. So this is going to be quite interesting to see how this sits for the next little while. I'm getting reasonably hungry, sort of morning tea time, but we'll probably hold out till about 12 because I'll go into work after that. This is where it starts, and I'm excited to show you this journey. I'm essentially going to live as normal for the first week. So this is going to be just day to day, what I normally eat, nothing exceptionally different from what I normally do, and just see what happens over time with that tracking ability. The second week, I'm going to do deliberate things to try and influence these levels and give you feedback on essentially how that makes me feel, energy levels through the day, and give you an insight into what this technology can do for you. Alrighty, we'll see you soon. So I've been using this product now for 1 week. It's been quite interesting monitoring my levels day to day, hour to hour, minute to minute, based on my level of stress, based on how much sleep I'm getting, and based on, of course, what I'm eating. And it's quite surprising to see what sort of foods interact with my body in different ways compared to someone else. Whereas I thought, you know, what I was having in the morning for breakfast, some oats and muesli, wouldn't really give me quite a high peak, but yet it does. Eating pasta last night, for instance, I found that it gave me quite a spike where I thought, mixed with a lot of vegetables and protein, I thought it wouldn't. And I think these are the sort of insights that you can gather from this technology that allow you to personalize your own journey with health, allowing you to see what effects these separate things have. So what we're going to have a look at now is just tracking through the app and seeing what this looks like with the data. Okay, so as we load the app up, you'll see here my most recent day, which you can have a look and see just after breakfast what it's been doing. You see on here. So the app gives us quite a bit of data, and you can see for me, I've been using this since Tuesday last week, and you can scroll through and start to see different trends in how you've been going, and you can log different events. So everything from, if we look at this, activity, food, sleep, how your stress levels are, if you've been fasting, and there's a variety of other things that you can add in here. Now you'll see here at the top there's a metabolic score, and we can see how that tracks over the last several days that I've been using this, and I'm sitting around the 80s. Obviously you want to be trying to get up to a 90, and then you can start to see what these scores actually mean. So in the app here we've got our glucose variability score, and I've got 99 on that, which is pretty cool. And we want to be under 12%, which is good. And obviously you're going to track that for different days to see how you're going. And you can then look into these lower score days and be like, all right, what happened on the 21st? Well, let's actually do that and have a look. So we can see all these readings alone. my target time and target score is low, the average glucose score is low, and it gives you some information as to what's going on there. The estimated HbA1c, that's essentially an estimate of the marker in your blood that glucose is binding to hemoglobin, and that's obviously transporting fuel around the body, and we can see what's happened there. So let's duck out of that and see what happened on the 21st, where that score is quite low. Now, I do recall here my phone wasn't on, and this will keep data for about 8 hours, but I didn't turn it back on till later. So that might be part of why that reading was so low, because the scores aren't too bad through this day. Now, as we go to the next, oh no, this is probably why it's quite off. A few things happened here. This would have been about lunchtime. I didn't log the food in there, but that's what that initial peak would have been. And then I've gone and done quite some strenuous lawn mowing, which makes sense for my blood glucose to go up, because it's going to be recruiting glycogen from the liver, burning energy and the like. And then it drops down, and we have another meal just before dinner. And we can see with this one, quite an extended high peak here. So for me, I'd look back and see what on earth did I do for dinner on that day, and I should have logged it, to create such a high peak for, that was going on almost 3 hours, which we do want to try and aim for this target zone according to this app. So we have another one here. Let's see what we ate. We had chocolate covered, what do we got? Chocolate covered donut. And this is a really good one, because these are obviously sometimes foods. I had a single donut, and we can see the sort of effect it has ongoing through the rest of that next 4 hours, where it was quite an elevated level. Whereas something like this, we had beef skewers for dinner, and there was, I remember, like capsicum and beef and all sorts of delicious stuff. Small peak followed by a return to that normal level quite smoothly, and then holding that through the night. And this is the sort of data you can start to gather on yourself as you're using this device to see what sort of foods are going to allow you to stay in that target zone for longer, giving that better blood glucose level over time. So what we're going to start to do for this next 7 days is start to experiment with trying to essentially biohack this data. What can we do to improve these elements? Is it going to be meditation and stress? Is it going to be looking at sleep? How about we look at what we're eating, as well as fasting and exercise before and after meals, to see how much an effect this has on our glucose levels. Alright, it's been 2 weeks. Can't believe it's gone so quick, but we've finished the trial of the Ultrahuman Cyborg, and there's a lot I'm really excited to share you in on with my experience with this device. It's been very rewarding. I've learned a lot about my metabolic health. Very interesting to see as well different types of food that really spike my glucose level and cause me to crash, as well as how I felt through this process with different components of, I guess, feeling energy level changes, and if that actually related to changes in glucose levels. So we're going to have a look at that in a bit more detail and give you a run through what that looks like on the app, to get a summary of how this has all changed over the last couple of weeks. So I'm really looking forward to this. Let's have a look and dive into it. So as you'll probably see on my screen here, it lets me know my sensors expired. It's been the 2 weeks, and obviously it's time for a new sensor. You can't leave these things in your body for more than 2 weeks at a time. So looking back through this process, what you'll see at the top of the screen there is I guess a daily average of scoring. And it looks like the scoring is, if you're going up, you get a green one. If you're going backwards, you get a red one. And this gives you an indication of what these good and bad days look like. So we'll have a look at a few of these days and select what this shows us and where we're up to. And as you can see, there is a target zone that you're trying to aim for. And really, healthy metabolism, you should try and maintain this as much as possible. You don't want to see huge fluctuations. And you can see here through my evenings is relatively flat. And then as we work through the day, we have some breakfast, it spikes slightly. And through this process, I was really testing out different dietary components to see what would give me a lower spike with more sustained energy, and what would give that really sharp spike. And it was so interesting. not all food types are the same, even if they're labeled the same things. So a classic example is what I'll show you in this next day here. You'll see here, I had muesli, and for the last several days I'd had exactly the same type of muesli. It was mainly rolled oats with a small amount of fruit and very, I'd say, unprocessed. It was very raw. This morning though, we'd got some new muesli and it was toasted, still muesli, but you could tell there was a bit of added sugar. And you can really see the difference it makes through here, where the previous day when I had my muesli, which was the normal type, you can see I had a very small spike here, returned back to normal relatively quickly, and gave me a really good sustained energy all the way through to lunchtime, where I had another small spike and carried on through the day. And then dinner was a write-off, and this was spaghetti bolognese here. So for me, high amounts of refined carbohydrates with pasta, a lot of sweetness in the sauce, and this really kept my levels quite high all the way through to midnight. But when you look at this morning, we had this huge spike for several hours, all because of that really high refined sugar component that was in there. So it's really something quite interesting to see. And then at lunchtime, another spike. And so we saw this sort of carry on through the day. So from my perspective, one of the things I found really fascinating and gave me a lot of insight in was how much different foods affect me. And as you can see, I'm a relatively fit person. I don't seem to have any chronic metabolic disorders, but it was giving me that extra amount of information to make healthier choices. As much as this doesn't actually change your health directly, it does give you a bit more understanding of your health habits and how those habits affect you day to day. And so I think as much as there's all these sorts of monitoring devices now on different devices, these sorts of things can just add that extra layer to understanding more about your health so that you can then measure it. And if you measure it, what you can do deliberately to change it. So for instance, with the Oura Ring, it's really helpful for tracking sleep and understanding that when you do certain things before bed, it's going to affect you through the night and your quality of sleep when you wake up again. And without that information, you may not be motivated, or you may not even know if it's making a difference for you. And I've got a video of that. You can click on the card just above to see more information on that. In terms of the Ultrahuman Cyborg app and sensor, the same sort of scenario where it doesn't actually change your health directly, in the sense that if you just put this on, you put the app on and you don't change anything, it's just really interesting to see the difference, but it won't affect your health. But if you're seeing every morning, like I found with my muesli, that this muesli versus this muesli has a massive change in your metabolic health over a certain time frame, then you can make these decisions and healthier choices with, say, what you're eating, stress levels and exercise to improve your metabolic health in that regard. There's another component to this that I want to show you as well, with incorporating exercise directly after eating, which I found quite fascinating. So we'll just scroll through here to find it. And this was another morning that I went for a bit of exercise. And you can see here at the bottom where I had my food, and once again it was the muesli, it was the healthier type, and you can see it's starting to spike. Sorry, actually I take that back. This was still the sugary muesli, but I thought what we'll do is actually go for some exercise and see if that spike continues, or if the exercise will burn up essentially that available glucose in my bloodstream. And so I went for a run for half an hour, and you can see it did start to pick up. Obviously the energy's being digested, it's being absorbed, and it's being put into the bloodstream to be used. But obviously when you go running and you exercise, your body's going to start to absorb that excess amount of sugar in the blood. And we saw it actually drop quite considerably and then return to a normal level through the rest of the day. And then a few snacks, as you can see. So really fascinating, these decisions that you can make when you know something, what decisions you made to influence it. And I think if you looked at this across a larger population group, there's obviously going to have an effect on people's health choices and what they can do to help themselves. Another thing that I really appreciated was the education this offers, and I'll just show you on the screen here what it looks like. But there's all these different things that you can look at to understand this more, and this video is not going to go into a huge amount of depth into the physiology of glucose metabolism and different health components. This is more a review of the product, but if it's something that interests you, it's all built into the app. So we can have a look at understanding glucose tracking and metabolism. We can have a look at how stress changes not only our diet, but also how it affects our metabolism, what you can do to improve metabolic health. And this is all, I was very impressed, it's all backed up by current research. And so there's huge amounts of information in here, videos, blogs, podcasts, all sorts of things that you can do. And there's even a coaching function, which essentially gives you one-on-one help to help you with your metabolic health, which I thought was absolutely fantastic. So I guess my final point of view on this product is that for me personally, would I wear it every single day, day in, day out for years and years? Probably not. I don't think for me this is going to be something that I'd use forever, but I found it a very valuable experience to use for the short term. And this might be for you several months at a time until you start to figure out the certain habits that are going to affect your health the most. But I think this is a great device and a great app that pairs with this to start to understand more about your own body, what tends to agree with you, and what you can do to influence those different health markers. And in terms of if it's worth it, yeah, I'd say it's good. Like, these are one of those tracking devices that it is going to influence your decision making. And I think anything that can help you make better decisions, that motivates you to make those better decisions for your health and those healthy lifestyle habits, it's going to pay itself off, because the cost of chronic disease and the cost of being sick, as well as just having a poorer quality of life, is so much more costly than essentially the short-term investment that you put into a product like this that allows you to make those healthy decisions with, which I hope for everyone. The purpose of doing a device such as this isn't just necessarily to see what it looks like and how it feels and being trendy and being able to look at what your blood sugar levels do through the day, but it's actually to influence your health decision making so that you can make steps in the right direction to better health, and obviously steering clear of those chronic diseases that do afflict so many of us in society today. So this has been really exciting. Thanks to Ultrahuman for sending me this cyborg device. It's been really valuable, and I've got a link below for you to go to the front of the queue on the waiting list for this product. It is in high demand. So if you're interested, subscribe to that email. They'll send you through when the product's ready. And if it's something that you're considering, you're already ahead of the queue. All right, take care. What I do need to say is that this is not a device that you're going to be using for managing your own diabetes. You need to be under the direction of your healthcare professional for that. The way this device is looking at things is a bit like a Fitbit would look at your heart rate or your steps. It's not necessarily diagnosing problems in your body, but it's there to assist you in making healthier decisions for your health.